Psychology loving folks, it is Dr. Wright, and today in Random in Psychology, we are going to be talking about neural communication. So, those brain cells that you have, how do they actually communicate with each other? So, first thing that we know is that a neural impulse or action potential is a rapid temporary change in the electrical potential across a neuron's membrane. Resting potential happens when a neuron is not firing. So it maintains a stable electrical difference across the membrane. Typically, it's negative on the inside relative to the outside. But when a neuron receives a sufficient stimulus, it causes a change in the membrane's permeability to ions, particularly sodium. And this allows positively charged sodium ions to rush into the neuron, making the inside less negative and even positive for a brief period. And this is called depolarization. So, quickly after depolarization happened, the membrane permeability changes again, allowing positively charged potassium ions to rush out of the cell. And this restores the negative charge inside of the neuron, and that process is called repolarization. And for a short period of time, the membrane potential might actually become slightly more negative than the resting potential before returning to normal. That's what we call hyperpolarization. And then we've got propagation. This is the entire sequence of depolarization, repolarization travels along the neuron like a wave, sending the signal across the neuron or to the next target cell. Now, what's interesting, even though I say to my students all the time, it's so interesting, and people are like, well, you say that all the time. So, really, what interesting is all of it. So, the all or none principle states that a neuron will either fire a full strength action potential or it won't fire at all. There's no partial, there's no weak. So, basically, if a stimulus is strong enough to reach the threshold, then an action potential is generated and travels down the axon. If the stimulus is too weak or doesn't reach the threshold, no action potential occurs. So again, it's really all or none. So one question becomes, well, what if there's a whole bunch of stimuli? What if it's a really strong stimulus? That could actually cause a higher frequency of action potentials. So more signals are going to be sent per unit of time. So the neural threshold or the threshold potential is a specific level of depolarization that the neuron's membrane needs in order to trigger the action potential. It's that kind of critical point at which the gates open and allow the rapid influx of sodium ions to come in, initiating that chain reaction of the action potential. Every neuron has a specific threshold. Usually it's around -55, although this can vary slightly. And stimuli that are below the threshold can temporarily change the membrane potential, but if it doesn't, again, if it doesn't reach that threshold, no action potential, no fire. The neuron will basically return to its resting potential. Once the threshold is reached, the all or none principle takes over and full action potential is generated. Um, and that's basically how your brain sends messages in or using chemical messengers and electricity, which is pretty cool. So that is today's topic for Random in Psychology. I will see you tomorrow.